Hi guys, welcome back to the Backseat Gamer. Welcome to the Backseat Gamer. And today we'll be moving into the world of the unknown, which is the world of Xbox exclusives. Because, as we both know, at least I hope we both know prior to watching this video, that Xbox does have exclusives, but they're not really talked about. They're not the most popular outside of course, like Halo, Gears, and Forza, as the meme goes. But just waking up today, I was really curious as to see what they have planned for the foreseeable future. Because the only time that I hear about Xbox exclusives is when something's getting pushed back, something needs more time in development, something didn't get released the way it was supposed to be released or promised to be released, which is the case with a lot of AAA games these days. But it's just that, at least a couple years ago, when I heard about Xbox buying out all these big game development companies, and just looking at the enormous amount of money that they spent in hopes to bolster some more acceptance, some more success for themselves. Because although they have basically been second place, well, okay, let me rephrase that. They've been third place, but they've been doing all right. Like, if you look up Xbox's sales over the past few years, you know, with the release of the Xbox One, Xbox Series X, and so forth and so on, you'll see that they have been doing fine. Of course, it's not Xbox 360 numbers when they were, like really in their prime, at least in my opinion, but they have been doing pretty okay. So they've just been justifying their existence for at least the past, what, 8 to 10 years, ever since the Xbox One came out. But ever since the end of the 360, I haven't really heard much about exclusives. It's just always been about, like cross-platform titles and stuff like that. So I think that this video is going to be a great way for me to find out what they have coming, in the near future. That is, but personally, I'm not going to be playing any of these games, of course. As you can see from my name at the bottom there, I'm a backseat gamer, so I have an interest in this stuff, but I'm not going to actually do it. So without further ado, let's look at the 14 upcoming big Xbox Series X and S console exclusives. And I'll say a little bit more about console exclusives as we move on. So let's just stop wasting time and let's start the ball rolling here, okay?
Infinite have graced the platform, it continues to fail in comparison to Sony's first-party output this generation. 2023 is undoubtedly going to be a crucial year for Xbox Series X and S, and hopefully it'll finally end the first-party drought that fans have been complaining about for so long now. To that effect, here are 14 upcoming Xbox Series X and S games for 2023 and beyond. Starfield. Starfield is Bethesda's first new IP in over 25 years, and is inarguably the crown jewel in Xbox's slew of upcoming titles. Starfield has been described as Skyrim in space, and while that description may sound reductive to some, it has a sincerely hype for what's in store. The NASA punk space designs look incredible, and with a massive open world comprising over 100 planets to explore, Starfield has a ton of great things going for it. It'll be released in the first half of 2023 for Xbox Series X and S and PC. The Elder Scrolls 6. To many, the next.
Okay, as far as games like Starfield go, these like open sandbox, I don't even know what the term sandbox means, but just these open world, like action RPG roguelike, like they just mesh a bunch of genres in there, really. Like those kind of games are very interesting from like a graphical and gameplay wise perspective for me, but they're not really interesting enough for me to play them. Because even though they offer, or at least claim to offer, so much, it's just like, I don't know, just having to manage all that stuff, like remember everything about your inventory, and like having such a wide open space and having to explore and find a bunch of stuff. It just it's just not that appealing to me, even though like what I just described is probably why it's so appealing to so many people. But another thing when it comes to Xbox exclusives that you have to take into mind is that 9 out of 10 of them will also be available for PC, right? You will be very hard pressed to find an Xbox exclusive, well, exclusive in quotations, of course, game that is not also available on PC. And while a lot of people don't have an Xbox, a lot of people do have PC because they know it themselves that if this were simply an Xbox exclusive, you would not be reaching the major audience that you want to. All right. And Microsoft owns, a bunch of computer stuff, and they also own the Xbox. So it just makes sense for them to utilize both platforms to maximize their profits. So of course that makes sense, but it also kind of also weirdly cuts down on your audience, on an exclusive, like, let me go buy an Xbox kind of audience, because you have this other thing that is widely used by not only Xbox users but people who have PlayStations and Nintendo Switches, right? So they won't even need an Xbox kind of sorta to play your game, which is an area where this strategy of having exclusives on both the Xbox and on PC kind of falls apart. So yeah, that's probably another reason why Xbox just isn't doing that well as they possibly could be.
Entry in this premier RPG franchise might sound like a distant dream, and we can't blame you for it. The Elder Scrolls 6 was unveiled really early on in development, and with Bethesda still largely focused on completing Starfield, it's going to be a long time until we get our hands on the title. It's still in pre-production at the moment, and rumor has it that it is targeting a 2025 to 2026 release date. Naturally, it will be a console exclusive and will be released for Xbox Series X and S and PC. EVERWILD. Rare is known for...
Okay, so Elder Scrolls 6 sounds like just a straight up like action RPG, at least in the vein of like Elden Ring and the just other Souls like games, right? Sounds like it's of that ilk. And if that is true, then that is also another game that I am not interested in playing. All right. Now, just as a preface, I'm not playing any of this. All right. None of this I am actually going to play. But I would like to tell you what I'm interested in playing. And the first two games, not that interested. Action RPGs. Ugh, they just tend, like, especially like the more modern that they get, they just tend to involve a lot of keeping track of inventory and keeping track of like herbs for health, and just keeping track of entire parties and stuff like that. It's just a lot to keep track of, right? That's what drives me away from RPGs. But in the same sense, it's also what keeps me interested, because I am very very interested in these spaces, in these other genres, because since it is a lot to keep track of, it also means that it takes more skill and it takes more dedication to really get good at these games. So when I see someone who's good at them and like casually and gets to the point of casually enjoying them, like that's something really special, and that's something that I really find interesting and I like to watch. Like, I might watch someone review the game just out of curiosity. Should have really turned off notifications. But as far as actually playing it myself, I'm not that interested. So yeah, so those first two just would not have done it for me, even if I was interested in playing Xbox games.
Creating some of the best platformers of all time, and while its output under Microsoft has resulted in an unfortunate slump, its next project EVERWILD sounds really intriguing nevertheless. EVERWILD takes place in a magical world filled with wondrous creatures and colorful characters, though details on the gameplay remain scant for now. Development has been pretty turbulent to say the least, and there's little in the name of concrete information surrounding its release. It will also be coming to Xbox Series X and S and PC in the near future. Fable. After rounding out
Everwood sounds like another like open world sandbox action RPG-ish kind of game. And yeah, just since there's limited information and stuff, I can't really make a fair judgment on it all. But again, just doesn't sound that interesting, honestly, or at least doesn't sound that different in order to really convince someone to want to even consider like buying an Xbox Series X or Series S. So yeah, just not that interested. Although Fable could be something that potentially brings more people over to the Xbox side.
its work on the excellent Forza Horizon 5, Playground Games is shifting gears over to the highly anticipated Fable reboot. While we haven't seen much of the game, the cinematic reveal trailer looks really impressive nevertheless. Rumors of a turbulent development cycle have been doing the rounds as of late, but take this information with a pinch of salt. But either way, fans will have to wait a bit before Fable lands on Xbox Series X and S and PC in the near future. Senua's Saga.
Okay, that's another thing that Xbox does a lot. Like because every once in a while when they have one of those Xbox conferences and they show a bunch of trailers and stuff, um, it just ends up being a bunch of announcements, and then come to find out at the end of it all, there isn't any gameplay footage available, which people will more be interested in. And even worse, the game's like 3, 4, sometimes even 5 years off, which is like like I know that there are some like movies and stuff that would just throw up a quick title screen, or throw up a quick, just simple worded announcement saying that this movie's gonna come out in the next 3, 4 years or something like that, right? But for the most part, they don't do that because they know that the audience most likely aren't even gonna remember, that the thing is coming out 3, 4 years in the future, because that's such a long time. Like, why even bother like announcing something if it's gonna be that far off in the future? Because you're just gonna have to like do a big grand announcing all over again once the thing actually comes to the close to the actual date. That which also brings into consideration if they even stick to that actual date. So it's just a bunch of will they, won't they kind of stuff, and it's just such a far time ahead that it just like it just doesn't make any sense saying that it's gonna come out 3 years in the future right now, when you could just wait 2 or even the full 3 years and say, hey, this game's coming out in the next couple of months, which would get more people hyped, and more people would remember that it's actually coming out because it is sooner. So yeah, but Fable, once that actually comes out, if it actually comes out, because there's also a bunch of cancellations that Xbox does for some reason that we don't know. If that actually does come out, it would be like a pretty big hit for them, I think, because Fable as a game has a pretty big cult fan base, I think, even though the first game and the other sequels that followed, some would say are disappointing given how they were marketed and stuff.
Hellblade 2. Ninja Theory absolutely smashed it out of the park with Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice, a game that single-handedly showcased the sheer potential in middle market experiences. Now that the developer has been acquired by Microsoft, it has more resources to create the sequel, and it looks absolutely stunning. Senua's Saga Hellblade 2 is powered by Unreal Engine 5, and it is truly a sight to behold with impressive next-gen graphics and detailed motion capture performances. No release dates have been revealed just yet, but it will be coming to Xbox Series X and S and PC sometime in the future. Stalker 2, Heart of Chernobyl.
I remember when Hellblade, well, the first one got announced, and it was a pretty big deal because I don't even live in like America or anything, but I, well, of course, I'm online like everyone else. But even here, there was like talks about it and stuff. I've never seen gameplay of it. I'm pretty sure it's kind of like Elder Scrolls, Assassin's Creed, God of War s kind of gameplay with some RPG elements and stuff like that, and like skill trees and stuff. And I know that it deals with like mental illness and stuff like that. And the graphics are really impressive, but again, no release date, just a cinematic trailer. Was that gameplay just now? I'm pretty sure that was not gameplay, but of course it looks impressive. But again, it's just one of those things. Like the best way to gain an audience these days in gaming is to have gameplay outright, or at least, well, just keep it to yourself until you have gameplay. All right, just don't say, "Oh, this is in development," so that people can get hyped about it. Just wait until you have gameplay and then announce it, right? And then again, no release date, so we don't even know when this one is supposed to come out. So yeah, but Hellblade should be a pretty sizable hit for them, since there was so much like praise and talks about the first one, so that should carry on into the sequel. But again, another game that I'm not that interested in playing.
GSC Game World is hard at work reviving the cult classic series with Stalker 2 Heart of Chernobyl, which had us awestruck with its very first reveal. The graphics are absolutely stunning from a technical standpoint, and the gameplay has been modernized with smooth flowing controls. Stalker 2 faced plenty of development issues in the face of the recent humanitarian crisis in the developer's homeland, but thankfully, development has resumed once again. It's planned to be released sometime before June 2023 for Xbox Series X and S and PC. Redfall. Redfall is undoubtedly.
All right, Stalker 2 is, well, it looks to be a first person shooter with probably some, like some light RPG elements. It looks like it might be one of those games. And while I first heard about the game, I found it pretty interesting that it was based off of a dystopian novel, which I always find interesting. Um, but yeah, I do recall when the first, well, I don't recall, but I know that Stalker was a big deal when it first came out. So, but that was a while ago, if I'm not mistaken. Wasn't it like 2010, 2011 at the latest, like 2013, something like that? So that was a while ago, and it wasn't like a huge hit, but it sold millions. And I don't know, like will it be a success? I guess if they market it properly and just market it as more than just your everyday zombie, like dystopian future kind of shooter game, because there's a lot of those running around these days. But yeah, so I guess it could be a hit, but judging from what we've seen so far, I mean like at the very least, it shows gameplay footage, and we have pretty soon really release dates. So we'll just have to see what comes of that whenever that comes out. I'll be sure to check it out. So yeah, looks interesting enough.
Undoubtedly one of the
I'll
most
probably play that.
promising games on this list. A cooperative first-person shooter that tasks teams to hunt down vampires, all with the flair and personality that one would expect from an Arcane release. I mean, who wouldn't be excited at the prospect? Of course, the gameplay is also looking pretty captivating as well, and we can't wait to dive into Redfall when it supposedly launches sometime before 2023 for Xbox Series X and S and PC. State of Decay 3. While State of Decay 2 didn't have the best of critical reception at its launch, post-launch updates and expansions have really helped in turning the game's fates around for good. State of Decay.
I'm sorry, that one just went by pretty quick. It's the shortest one so far. Redfall. It looks to be a vampire first person shooter game, which, you know, again, there is, well, there's a bunch of similar shooting games coming out dealing with like zombies and vampires and stuff like that. Redfall as he just described it, sounds like it could be interesting, you know, like a little bit kind of interesting. But for me personally, being a pretty casual gamer, like okay, I am a backseat gamer at heart, but in order for me to actually come to play a game, not only would it have to be interesting to me, but it would need to have more of a slightly pick up and play kind of vibe to it. And first person shooters, which like some of them are pick up and play, but for me personally, I've just never been that good at them. So yeah, right off the bat, I'm interested, but would not play it because I'm not good at first person shooters. But just from an objective perspective, it looks like a pretty decent vampire shooter, if a very cliche one, given how short that was. So yeah.
A3 will hopefully continue down that good path, though the reveal trailer seems to suggest that it'll be taking a darker turn with infected wildlife and suboptimal weather conditions being introduced to the mix. Of course, concrete details are scant at the moment, and naturally, the game doesn't have a release date at this point. Perfect Dark Reboot.
Again, another game that's slated to come out, but does not have a release date, does not show gameplay. Although people probably know what the gameplay is going to be like, since it is State of Decay Part 3. Um, but it just sounds like another open world for either first person shooter or third person shooter kind of game with some RPG elements. Pretty much every game's got RPG elements in it these days. Um, yeah, just well, oh, also a survival game. Survival games are pretty huge these days as well, but it just at, at least to me, it just doesn't seem that different from the crowd. I have never seen the gameplay, so this is just me looking at it from a blind short description. Will I be interested in this kind of perspective? And it doesn't seem like something that I'd be interested in. Yeah, it should please its fans when it comes out, but as far as something that I'd go out of my way or be interested in picking up, no, it just seems pretty like a pretty cliche shooter. Although that's just me from a genuine backseat gamer, casual gamer perspective. So let's move on.
The initiative is currently hard at work at bringing Perfect Dark, one of the tentpole releases of the N64, to the modern gaming landscape with a new reboot for Xbox Series X and S. Series protagonist Joanna Dark is making a return, with a new story that revolves around a future dystopia with an ecological twist. Recent developments on the game include a partnership with Days Gone director Jeff Ross joining in on the project, but fans will still have to wait some time before getting their hands on the final release.
Okay, another game with no release date and no gameplay footage. Perfect Dark, although, is an outlier because it is one of the prime like Xbox exclusives. Because, well, not as a good thing though, because of course the original Perfect Dark came out on the 64, very popular game, very highly praised game, a game that sold really well on the 64. But then Xbox, I'm I'm pretty sure Perfect Dark is Rareware. Is is it is it Rare? Pretty sure it's Rare that made it. Anyway, Perfect Dark Zero came out on the original Xbox. It was either the original Xbox or the Xbox 360. I don't remember which one, but whichever one it came out on was not well received and did not sell that well. But it still ended up becoming a pretty iconic Xbox release. So Perfect Dark, the reboot, whenever it comes out, I'm pretty sure will be a decently sized hit, at least a decently sized hit for Xbox. Again, something that I'm interested in watching someone play. Yes, very much so. But something that I would go out of my way to play myself. Again, not that good at first person shooters, although I am interested in still trying to be good at them. Eh, so no, I'm gonna skip that one personally.
Forza Motorsport. Following the rave success of Forza Horizon 5, the Forza baton has been passed down to Turn 10 Studios for the next entry in the simulation-oriented Forza Motorsport series. While it is technically Forza Motorsport 8, this entry is meant to be a soft reboot to this long-running franchise. The developer is promising an even more detailed simulation engine under the hood, and you can expect hundreds of cars from different car cultures recreated with astute attention to detail and eye-popping graphical fidelity. Forza Motorsport will be released in spring 2023 for Xbox Series X and S and PC. ARK 2. Studio wildcards up astute attention to detail and eye-popping graphical fidelity. Forza Motorsport will be released in spring 2023 for Xbox Series X and S and PC.
Okay, so that one's got a pretty close release date. Well, close enough. Forza Motorsport expected to be a reboot of the franchise. Yeah, Forza is another franchise that I've been really interested in ever since I discovered it really long time ago. And it's one that I tried playing once or twice, but I just can't get down with can't get down with simulation or well sim with simulation sports racing games. I I really love an arcade racer, but simulation it's really beautiful to look at, and I really wish that I was good at those games, but it just the learning curve is just a bit too steep for me. Yeah, simulation racing games not for me. I'm sure a bunch of people are going to go to it because it is one of Microsoft's flagship franchises, one of their best sellers, so should do good numbers. Yeah.
ARK 2. Studio Wildcard's upcoming ARK 2 is looking like everything you would want from a sequel to one of the best survival games of recent memory, and if that doesn't get you pumped up for this title, I don't know what will. In addition to this, ARK 2 also features Hollywood star Vin Diesel assuming the role of the protagonist, and promises a more robust single-player story component than the first game. It arrives for Xbox Series X and S and PC in 2023. Planet of Lana.
ARK 2. Not sure what kind of game that was. He didn't really do a good job of doing that, but since it's part 2, then I'm pretty sure most people watching this know what the first game was like. But I'm pretty sure it's like a survival. It's pretty much a survival game. You probably have to like build a base or something like that, unprotected or something like that, and like find food and do a bunch of stuff like that. So yeah, RPG elements, survival game. And while again, I find it very interesting. This is why I'm watching this as someone who does not game a lot. I find it very interesting. But survival games, again, a lot of things to keep a track of, a lot of things that could go wrong. I'm my just not like my type of gaming experience, honestly. I just like to go in and just have fun. If it has like a bit of a learning curve, like having to learn like patterns and stuff, I'm fine with it. But a survival game just is not my cup of tea. So hopefully it does that for you, but for me personally, it just does not achieve that. So yeah, honestly, don't see that one being a big hit, but should do decent enough. So yeah.
Developer Wishfully's Planet of Lana is set to release sometime during Q2 of 2023, and it looks really impressive on a visual level. The artist put forth a colorful world that's really intriguing, one that's filled with all sorts of sci-fi elements, among other things. Planet of Lana also sports a cinematic flair, which makes this puzzle adventure worth looking out for. It releases for Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, and PC. Replaced. Set against
Okay, Planet of Lana 2. As the guy said, it's a puzzle. Yeah, it's a puzzle adventure, but also a platform game. And it's honestly, it's just one of many. If you're into that kind of stuff, you have a myriad of options at your disposal there. If that's something that you're interested in, because there's a bunch of puzzle platform games these days. I'm not sure how that started out, if it's with Limbo, but yeah, no, it's been going on since before Limbo. But yeah, it's looks to be pretty good, but looks more of a indie title in my opinion. So it'll have its fan base, it'll bring in its audience, but it won't have that much of a wide reach. So yeah, should be a good game, but again, just not something that I'm interested in playing.
A dystopian cyberpunk future, Replace puts you in the shoes of an AI by the name of Reach, which has been trapped in a human body. Throughout this adventure, you will get to explore the many neighborhoods of a beautifully rendered Phoenix City as you jump across gaps and slash through foes in this 2.5D adventure. The gorgeous pixel art is definitely the drawing factor here, and it releases for Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. The Last Case of Benedict Fox.
Alright. Replace one of the shorter previews in this video, but that game has me the most interested because, as you can see, it's a platform shooting game. And if you go back just a little, because it's such a short preview.
It releases for Xbox Series X in the human body. Throughout this adventure, you will get to explore the many neighborhoods of a beautiful...
That part right there with the shooting and stuff, that's what has me interested. All right, I might actually get that one for PC because Xbox, no, this is no for me. Oh, but yeah, this one seems to be more simple. I really love this really colorful pixel art here. Games like this and what's it called again? Games like this and Broforce really interest me because they're really beautiful to look at, but also really simple to play as far as controls. Of course they have their challenging sections and stuff, but it's just easy to understand at least why you may or may not be good at it. And just it just shooter platformer games like this with a really modern twist on it, I really like those. So yeah, this one has my interest. I might actually get this one. Like I'm not even joking. I might actually get this one because it does look really interesting to me.
Beautifully rendered Phoenix City as you jump across gaps and slash through foes in this 2.5D adventure. The gorgeous pixel art is definitely the drawing factor here, and it releases for Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. The Last Case of Benedict Fox.
That looked really beautiful. Like, you've got to admit, at least, because it's so interesting because I've never seen that perspective. I mean, of course I've seen 2.5D games before, but I've never done it. I've never seen it done that way for an action game. Just it's just the way how she went in front of him and then switched to the back and put his arm down in an arm bar, that was really cool. And also the the platforming part where she jumped across it that is so beautiful. That is such an interesting concept. I will definitely have to get that one, honestly. I'm not even just interested at this point. I'll definitely get that and actually play that. So yeah, that is the best one so far, in my opinion. Well, probably the best one since we're here at the last one. So yeah, let's just finish things off here.
In keeping with the theme of intriguing platformers, we have The Last Case of Benedict Fox. This impeccably beautiful game is heavily influenced by the works of H.P. Lovecraft, but it fuses those dark horrors with warm colors and cartoony aesthetics for a fresh look that's hard to ignore. You'll be solving puzzles, overcoming challenges, and fighting bosses with new powers and abilities as you try to get to the bottom of a murder mystery. The Last Case of Benedict Fox releases for Xbox Series X and S and PC sometime this year. So what are your thoughts on this? Go ahead and share them in the comments below. And if you like this video, please subscribe to the channel and enable all notifications by clicking the bell icon to get new video updates. We upload every day and would really appreciate
Alright, that was a really good video by Gaming Bolt. Last Case of Benedict Fox had me interested initially because of the combat, and I really like how the graphics look. But as soon as he said puzzle, yeah, yeah, you got me out of there, bro. I'm sorry. I just don't do puzzle games unless they're like really simple, and this does not look simple. Since it's like a side-scrolling platform game as well, it means that you'll have to be doing some backtracking, and backtracking with puzzles in a 2D perspective, like side to side, side scrolling perspective, for me just does not work for me, in my opinion. Of course, other people will like it. It looks like it's gonna be a really good game, but yeah, puzzle platformers, not for me. Just not, just not for me. So overall, the consensus of this 14 games, and only one of them really interests me as a casual gamer, which is the audience I think that Xbox should try to appeal to more, honestly, because a bunch of these is like open world, sandbox, RPG elements in their games and stuff like that, and that's not bad at all, right? You know, that's the regular AAA titles that sell millions and millions of copies, but they don't seem very unique. They don't seem very, I don't know, there's just not much that appeals the outside, you know, like the audience that Xbox does not have. I really think that the audience Xbox should look to tap into more is the casual audience, because PlayStation has that audience, and well, and mostly Nintendo has that audience, because even their like flagship exclusive titles have elements in them that appeal to pretty much every demographic, and that's what keeps them either in a close second place or even first place at many times. That's what gives Nintendo that edge, is that they have like this family friendly stuff, but it's not like you know, completely kid centered. It could involve adults as well, and that's the audience that I think Xbox should really try to appeal to. Like with this like puzzle platformer stuff, it's not something that's gonna get like like little kids into it. And of course, I'm not saying that they have to try to include little kids into everything, but it's just that there's nothing here that really grabs in the casual gamer like myself, except for replaced. The first person shooters are gonna have their audience. The puzzle games are gonna have their audience. The survival games are gonna have their audience, and they're gonna come and see it. But let's just be honest here, all right? Most people are gonna play it on the PC. Most people are gonna buy it on Steam. Most people are gonna go on GOG.com and just wait for it to become available at a lower price, because that's just what a lot of people do. And yeah, and yeah, so there's like, even if they're interested in these games enough to want to play them, they're just gonna wait for them to go on sale. They're just gonna, like most people are just gonna go straight to PC, where the game, you know, is more likely to be at a lower price. And you know, and it's just, of course, they probably already have a laptop or gaming desktop setup or whatever, so they're not even going to go and buy an Xbox to get these games. Like, these games, I don't think are going to attract more people to the Xbox, as opposed to them just liking what they like and just go for it on PC. Like, just whatever appeals to them, they can get it on PC, because sure, it's an Xbox console exclusive, but it's not exclusive to their platform. Like, PlayStation waits years, or like many months, until they drop their stuff on PC, when there's a bunch of demand for it on that platform, right? But Xbox, it just like day and day releases. So yeah, these games all look really interesting to watch, and interesting to play in the objective perspective of the fans that they appeal to. But as a casual gamer, I don't really see anything here that would really pull a really wide, really huge audience that Xbox needs into buying their Xbox Series X. So, but yeah, it was still nice to see the big stuff that they have coming up. So feel free to share your thoughts in the comment section below. Um, do you own an Xbox? What are the exclusives that you play? Do you even play their exclusives at this point, or do you just stick to their cross-platform stuff? Thank you for watching. It was nice to discover that he's replaced. Definitely gonna be looking forward to that when it comes out. So yeah, don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to know when I upload next. This has been the Backseat Gamer, and I'll see you all next time. God bless.